try to step back in time to when our lives felt more simple.
The ending to The Missing isn't just impressive because of its elaborate presentation, though that certainly helps it. This final sequence, where both the true nature of the game, as well as an insistence to push back against the all-too-common tragic and surrealist end are revealed, is exactly what we should be looking for in video game narratives. From the dramatic scripted scenes, to a final optimistic chase and victory over a now understandable enemy, The Missing's ending takes advantage of being a piece of interactive media and provides a path of emotional resonance through the whole experience. By exploring largely ignored and important territory, The Missing was able to take what would have been a novel experience in its own right and push it above into the type of representation we should be accepting as the bare minimum. Also, it made me cry for like 3 hours.
And cast no shadows on anyone.
Even before its release date, nearly every comment online about Fallout 76 was one of deep frustration and consistent ineptitude. Bethesda's games are rightfully infamous for how shoddily they're held together, but their latest release heaps another spoonful of worry on top of an already wobbly foundation with online functionality. With the standard crashes, bugs, and game-breaking errors now paired with an unstable connectivity requirement, Fallout 76 is going to need a lot more than some fan mods to be anywhere near something worth the money Bethesda's asking for it. Let's not forget that they're using the same 20-year-old engine that they've been using since Morrowind, and plan to continue to use it into the next generation.
Take me home, country roads.
I don't really know what else could be said about The Missing that I haven't already said a million times. It's a game that truly surprised me and made me hope for the future of storytelling in games, especially when it comes to minority groups. The fact that The Missing came from a straight and cis man, but managed to take into consideration the realities that people unlike him might experience, feels like a breath of fresh air in an industry where games like Mass Effect have trans characters who introduce themselves with their dead name. Seeing Swery grow from someone who made one of my all-time favorite games that always required a warning about its treatment of sensitive issues into someone pushing thoughtful and learned reparations is fantastic. It makes me even more disappointed about how bad the rest of the industry handles social issues. A game that I thought I'd just be into because of its macabre mechanics instead made me weep and became one of my all-time favorites. Hopefully the game industry takes a hint from this one.
The power of Mean Girls shines within you. Susie from Deltarune is our favorite character in a game this year. Her character arc, from schoolyard bully to reluctant party member to two-bit villain to genuine friend, was, in true Toby Fox style, equal parts touching and hilarious. Susie is in many ways a perfect response to the sometimes simplistic pacifist outlook of Undertale. As she moves from lashing out with violence out of fear to using violence as a way to defend those she cares about, Susie encapsulates the complicated questions Deltarune seeks to ask. She adds an edge to the game, no pun intended, and always reminds us that these characters are just tweens, doing their best in a scary situation. Susie's scenes with Lancer are among the funniest in Deltarune, and she brings serious heart to the game, making me care about the fate and feelings of these dumb kids. To give Susie the best compliment I can, she is unbanned from Free Ham Sandwich Day.
David Cage divides opinion among the masses at the best of times, but with Detroit Become Human, the master of gaming misery has hit new lows in the character department, thanks to the game's lead, Marcus. Cage, of course, has always been about as subtle as a nuclear bomb, but his clumsy attempts to roll Jesus Christ, Martin Luther King, Che Guevara, Jason Bourne, and Mahatma Gandhi into one with Marcus are unbelievably bad. As Detroit fumbles around with its dead-on-the-nose biblical references and Marcus's literal freeing of the android slaves, it's hard to believe you're watching a sincere effort at storytelling unfold before you. So laughably ham-fisted are Cage's attempts to make Marcus a relatable and sympathetic leader that the game's entire thesis statement looks like it's being drawn into parody. Under Marcus, a game that should have been an easy thematic slam dunk stumbles and falls in mystifying order, and only serves to highlight that of all the people in the industry, David Cage is not the one with the chops to tackle difficult social concepts.
The malaise and excited trepidation I experienced playing the absolutely stunningly beautiful remake of Shadow of the Colossus this year was partially due to me anticipating a huge road trip, where I completely uprooted my life and traveled cross-country for a totally fresh start. Experiencing Shadow of the Colossus again was certainly comforting before my trip, but the themes of uncertainty and anxiety and being dead set on your beliefs while knowing they could have disastrous consequences deeply resonated with me. Traveling through the world and touring lonely countrysides and deviating from my path, feeling like I was seeing a world nobody else had ever seen, left me as lonely as I felt on the several 8-hour car rides on my own. Nobody to talk to, nobody to share my anxieties with. Shadow of the Colossus is a great game, and this year more than when I played it years before, it meant everything to me and the biggest journey of my life.